Welcome to A History Chapter, where we delve into the decisive moments that shaped our world. In today's episode, we uncover the relentless strategies and the pivotal clash that unfolded at the Battle of Lake Trasimene. Join us as we explore the cunning trap laid by Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca and the unsuspecting Roman army led by Gaius Flaminius. From the mist-covered hillsides to the blood-stained waters of Lake Trasimene, this is the story of betrayal, bravery, and the fateful encounter that altered the course of history. Get ready to immerse yourself in the fog of war as we uncover the truth behind one of the most dramatic battles of the ancient world. Welcome to the Battle of Lake Trasimene, which reshaped history pages on the 21st June 217 BC. The Second Punic War was a titanic struggle between Rome and Carthage, fueled by long-standing animosities and competing imperial ambitions. The conflict erupted when Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general, launched a daring invasion of Italy by crossing the Alps with his army in 218 BC. This audacious maneuver caught the Romans off guard and signaled the beginning of a protracted and bloody conflict. Hannibal's strategic objective was to challenge Roman hegemony in the western Mediterranean and expand Carthaginian influence. His campaign in Italy aimed to rally support from Rome's Italian allies, weaken Roman resolve, and ultimately force a negotiated settlement on favorable terms for Carthage. Hannibal's campaign in Italy was marked by a series of stunning victories and strategic maneuvers. After defeating the Romans at the Battle of Trebia in 218 BC, he spent the winter consolidating his position in northern Italy, securing alliances with Gallic tribes and replenishing his forces. As spring arrived in 217 BC, Hannibal resumed his southward advance, aiming to maintain momentum and capitalize on Roman divisions. Meanwhile, in Rome, the Senate faced the daunting task of confronting the Carthaginian threat. Gaius Flaminius, one of the consuls for the year, was entrusted with the defense of Rome's interests. Flaminius, eager to prove his mettle and bolster his political stature, led his army northward to intercept Hannibal near Lake Trasimene. Despite warnings from scouts about the proximity of Carthaginian forces, Flaminius pressed on, hoping to surprise Hannibal and halt his advance. Unbeknownst to Flaminius, Hannibal had meticulously planned an ambush. Using his intimate knowledge of the terrain and exploiting the element of surprise, Hannibal positioned his troops in the rugged hills overlooking Lake Trasimene, waiting patiently for the Roman army to walk into his trap. The stage was thus set for a decisive confrontation that would shape the course of the war. The clash at Lake Trasimene would not only test the military acumen of both commanders, but also highlight the shifting dynamics of power in the ancient Mediterranean world. Before discussing the battle itself, let's focus on determining the strength of both sides. Hannibal's Carthaginian forces. Hannibal's army consisted of a diverse array of troops drawn from various regions of the Carthaginian Empire and its allies. His core infantry comprised battle-hardened veterans from his campaigns in Iberia, modern-day Spain, and North Africa. These troops were supplemented by contingents of mercenaries, including Gauls, Ligurians, and Celtiberians, who were attracted by promises of loot and plunder. Additionally, Hannibal commanded a formidable cavalry force, primarily composed of Numidian horsemen renowned for their speed and skill in skirmishing tactics. While estimates vary, Hannibal's total force at Lake Trasimene likely numbered between 30,000 to 40,000 soldiers. Roman forces under Gaius Flaminius. The Roman army led by Gaius Flaminius was primarily composed of infantry organized into legions, the backbone of Rome's military power. These legions were made up of Roman citizens, supplemented by allied troops from across Italy. While the exact composition of Flaminius' forces is uncertain, it is estimated that his army numbered around 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers. The Roman cavalry, while present, was relatively limited in comparison to the Carthaginian cavalry under Hannibal's command. Overall, Hannibal held a numerical advantage over Flaminius, But the Roman army was renowned for its discipline, training, and resilience. However, the outcome of the battle would ultimately be decided not just by numbers, but by the tactical acumen and strategic decisions of the commanders on both sides. As dawn broke on the morning of the battle, the Romans, under the command of Gaius Flaminius, marched along the northern shore of Lake Trasimene, unaware of the impending danger lurking in the mist-covered hills above them. Hannibal, having meticulously positioned his troops for the ambush, waited patiently to spring his trap. Suddenly, as the Romans advanced further into the narrow defile between the lake and the hills, they found themselves enveloped by a dense fog that obscured their vision. At this critical moment, Hannibal gave the signal, and his hidden forces descended upon the unsuspecting Roman column from all sides. The Carthaginian cavalry, led by Maharbal, launched a devastating assault on the Roman flanks, disrupting their formation and causing chaos and confusion among the ranks. Meanwhile, Hannibal's infantry, armed with spears, swords, and javelins, surged forward, raining down death upon the disoriented Romans. Caught off guard and unable to effectively maneuver in the treacherous terrain, the Roman soldiers struggled to mount a coherent defense against the relentless onslaught of the Carthaginian forces. Many Romans were slaughtered where they stood, while others attempted to flee in disarray, only to be cut down by the pursuing enemy. Despite valiant efforts by some Roman units to rally and fight back, the overwhelming numerical superiority and superior positioning of Hannibal's forces proved decisive. The battle quickly descended into a massacre, with thousands of Romans falling victim to the Carthaginian onslaught. Amidst the chaos of the battlefield, Gaius Flaminius, the Roman consul, fought bravely at the head of his men, but was ultimately unable to stem the tide of defeat. In the midst of the carnage, Flaminius himself fell, cut down by enemy blades, marking the tragic end of his ill-fated command. By the time the fog lifted and the full extent of the disaster became apparent, the Romans had suffered a crushing defeat. The waters of Lake Trasimene ran red with the blood of the fallen, serving as a grim testament to the brutality of war and the consequences of underestimating a cunning and determined adversary like Hannibal. The Battle of Lake Trasimene was a devastating blow to Rome, resulting in a catastrophic loss of life and a profound sense of shock and disbelief. The defeat shattered Roman confidence and exposed the vulnerability of their military to Hannibal's unconventional tactics. With Gaius Flaminius dead and much of the Roman army decimated, Hannibal emerged victorious, further solidifying his reputation as a formidable military strategist and inspiring fear and awe among his enemies. The Carthaginian forces celebrated their triumph and seized valuable spoils from the battlefield. In Rome, news of the defeat at Lake Trasimene sparked panic and despair. The Senate and the people of Rome mourned the loss of thousands of their fellow citizens and grappled with the grim realization that Hannibal's threat was far more dire than they had anticipated. In the wake of the disaster, Rome scrambled to regroup and shore up its defenses. Quintus Fabius Maximus, known as Fabius the Delayer, was appointed as dictator and implemented a cautious strategy of avoiding direct confrontation with Hannibal while focusing on defensive measures and attrition. Meanwhile, Hannibal capitalized on his victory at Lake Trasimene by continuing his march through Italy, spreading fear and uncertainty among Rome's allies, and bolstering his own forces with recruits and supplies. He skillfully exploited divisions within the Italian peninsula, winning over local populations and securing alliances with dissident cities. Hannibal's audacious campaign in Italy sent shockwaves throughout the Mediterranean world and raised hopes among Rome's enemies. However, the war was far from over, and Rome would prove to be a resilient and determined adversary, ultimately leading to a protracted and grueling conflict that would shape the course of history. As we conclude our journey through the Battle of Lake Trasimene, we're reminded of the timeless lessons learned from history's crucible. Join us next time as we uncover more chapters from the annals of human civilization. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to A History Chapter for more fascinating insights into the past. Until then, remember, the echoes of history continue to shape our world today. Thank you for watching.